I get a lot of questions about, do I need sales training? Does my team need sales training? When do I know if sales training is right for us? We're going to talk about all of that so you'll know exactly if sales training is right for you and when. Let's do it. Hey, it's Matt Wolach. I help software leaders understand how to generate a whole ton of leads, close those leads effectively and efficiently, and scale your team so that your team can be amazing and you can reach your wildest dreams. If you want any of those things, hit the subscribe button down below and the little bell next to it. That way you'll be notified about all my upcoming trainings and tips, and you won't miss out on anything. I look forward to seeing you in all of those upcoming videos. I get this question a lot. How do I know if I need sales training? It's a common question because sometimes we're not sure, are we doing the right things? Are we not doing the right things? Am I missing something? And I hear a lot of people tell me, I don't know what I don't know. So today we're going to talk about, do you need sales training? Well, I'm not sure. First things first, you got to constantly be growing. If you're not growing, if you're not improving regardless, then start doing it, because otherwise somebody's going to pass you. I've seen so many people who've been in software sales for a long time who kind of stayed flat and stagnant and they've never pushed themselves to grow and they get passed by. You do not want that to happen. So constantly be growing. Now that growing could be through watching videos like you're doing right now. It could be through reading books. It could be through talking with mentors, or it could be through sales training. So let's talk about if it's good for you and if it's the right time for you. First things first, I want to point out that there's 3 different types of sales essentially within the software world. And really those 3 different types of sales are different stages of the process. So first you've got outbound. Outbound sales is a thing. That's where your SDR, your sales development rep, or BDR, business development rep, they're going outbound cold to try and generate some warm opportunities, some leads. They're trying to book calls, they're trying to get people into trainings, or whatever your steps are. So that outbound sales motion absolutely is vital and important, and you may need training there. We'll talk about that. The second thing is, the one most people think of when they think of sales is new sales, closing business, getting new companies to start working with you, your tool, your solution. That new sales opportunity, that's a big deal, and learning how to do that correctly is very, very important. So that's the second one. And the third one is, once they're already a customer, once they're already a user, how do we upsell them? How do we get them to renew? How do we make sure they expand their service offering with us? So those are the 3: outbound, new sales, and upsells/renewals. Looking at each of these, how do we know if we need to have training? The thing that I love to do is dive into the metrics, is really understand, where are we? Have we done the right stuff here based on the data, based on benchmarks, and based on our goals to get us where we have to get? So let's look at each of those. Now, outbound, very important metric, of course. How many leads are you generating? You can look at this by week, by month, but you want to understand, what is your lead generation number? Now, this really matters, and one of the big differentiators here is your annual contract value. If you have a really, really expensive product, it's okay to generate fewer leads. If you have a really low-cost product, you need to spend more time and generate a lot of leads. You have to have more in order to be able to fuel the company. But you want to look at your benchmarks in terms of lead generation so that you can get this right. So you can make sure that you're generating the right number of leads. If you are not generating as many leads as you should be, or as many leads as needed in order to get to your company goals, you need some sales training. I find a lot of issues in outbound in terms of the types of messages being sent, what's actually being sent in the messages, how it's being sent, lots of challenges there, as well as if you talk about not just email, but maybe cold calls. Lots of things are being said that are probably killing the deal. If that's the problem, if you're not getting the leads you need sales training. So outbound, look at your metrics, look at the numbers, look at the lead generation, and let's get some leads in through sales training. Number 2, new sales. Okay, if we're talking about closing deals, once we've had leads, one of the best things we can look at is, what is our close rate? The close rate I like to look at is demo to close. Once you've booked those demos, how many of them are actually closing? Now, the benchmark for this, at least the minimum, is 20%. If you're not closing 1 out of 5 deals, that's 20%. If you're not at least closing that, you're lower than the companies that are making it, the companies that are thriving, the companies that are taking off. You are not there. So if you're at 10%, 15%, 18%, you need to get to 20%. The best way to do that is sales training. Get somebody who understands what's going wrong and have them help you understand how to get that corrected. Have them help your team understand how to start closing more deals. So we've got to figure out getting our close rate to at least 20%. Now, again, once you're at 20%, if that's you, that is just the minimum. That is the minimum just to kind of stay afloat. So if you're like, oh, we're at 21, we're good. No, you're not good. You're probably going to be passed. Software is a very, very highly scaling opportunity. It's a company type that if you're only growing at 20, 30%, you're going to get passed by everybody else who's doubling and tripling every year. So we've got to get much better than just that 20%. You should be striving for 30 to 33%. One of my clients, Robbie, he just told me he got to 67%. Another one of my clients, Paul, he's at 87%. Another client, Mike's at 71%. All these guys are in software, B2B software. If you're not getting to those type of rates after a few months of sales training, you're not getting to where you have to be. So in terms of new business, let's make sure we're at least at 20% so we can stay afloat. And then let's get that to 30, 33, 40, 50% close rate. You can do it with the right process. Okay, 2 down, 1 more to go. By the way, if this is helpful, if you like this type of stuff, hit the like button down there. That way it shows me this is good stuff for you and I can give you more like this. Also, if you have any comments, go ahead and put those down there. Any questions or ideas for upcoming videos, put those there and I will be able to share all of that with you too. Thirdly, upsells. This is another type of sales that often we don't think about. This is sometimes called account management. Sometimes you have the customer success team doing it. But in most scenarios within software companies, we do not devote enough effort or resources, meaning people, who are trained in sales to be able to make those upsells happen. Most of the people who are in customer success came from a customer support role, so they don't have a lot of training in sales and they don't even report to sales, meaning they're not going to be focused on it. It's a secondary thing for them. So if you're wondering why we're not getting a lot of expansion revenue, that's likely the case, that we don't have the right people, they don't have the right training, they're not reporting the right way. So number 1 within that is figure out how to get the right people who are salespeople, trained as salespeople, reporting to the sales leader, focus on upselling. That's a big thing. Those people who have goals for upsells, they'll start trying to make those goals happen. You'll start to see more upsells. Another thing we can do is look at our benchmark number here. And in this case, in upsells, a great number is NRR, net retention revenue, which refers to how much of your existing business is growing or shrinking. You basically look at your current revenues from your existing customers and did they add more services or did they take away services? Did that go up or down? And did some churn? Did some leave completely and it's gone? Your net retention rate, NRR, should be over 100%. If it's under 100%, that means companies are churning, they're leaving, or they're canceling services and their price is lowering. If it's over 100%, that means that they are adding more services. The companies you already have upsold, they're adding more to the bottom line for you. That's expansion, that's wonderful. So get that figured out, understand what the NRR is. Some people also just look at MRR, growth rate for existing, same kind of deal, but figure that out. I've given you 3 different benchmarks, 3 different ways to be able to track if you need sales training. By the way, if you want to track these benchmarks and more really easily, I put together a scorecard. It's an Excel sheet that I made for my own business because I needed to track all these things that some of my friends said, hey, can I use that? And I said, yeah, sure. So I gave it to them and they said, this is great. So I started offering it to anybody. It's totally free. If you want this scorecard that I use and a lot of my friends who are building SaaS companies use, as well as all my clients, grab it. I've got a link down below, totally free scorecard. You can get it and start filling in your numbers and it will automatically calculate all of your best metrics. And it'll show you how close you are to the benchmarks I talked about, as well as the goals you can set for each of these. That way you can see, are we there, are we not? It even has cool graphs showing you your trending and your analysis. So grab that, really simple, check it out. I hope it helps you. By the way, if you want more on metrics and how you're going to be able to track metrics and all that, I've got an awesome video. Grab that video right here, the best SaaS metrics to track. That way you'll be able to see all the best metrics for you and what you can do in order to improve your metrics. Hey, I hope this helps. As I mentioned, make sure you subscribe because guess what? Next week, part 2, we're going to be talking about sales training even further. How do you know which sales training program might be right for you? That's all coming next week, so make sure you're subscribed so you do not miss out. Thank you so much. Hope this helped. I'll see you next time. Take care.